Ohara minasan. This is Yuki, your Yalis Timidation VU elf, and today I'm going to share with you again my wisdom regarding anime that are like Your Lion April. And I know that we are somewhere midway April now, and you have seen a lot of anime fans that are sharing the photo from Your Lion April and probably reminiscing over the sad vibes and everything. These anime I'm going to recommend today are also carry the same level of critical hit or damage to your heart as much as Your Lion April. My criteria here, like I told you today, is the level of pain, the amount of crying, and also how much deeply I felt affected by that particular anime even years later. So I hope you give some of them a chance, and let's start. So in order for me to establish a criteria for comparison, I think it would be just right to speak about Your Lion April for people who haven't watched it yet, or people who are, trying to remember what it was about. And Your Lion April is an anime that was released in 2015. It has 22 episodes. Also, it's good to mention it has a live action too, by Kento Yamazaki. Well, the story is revolving around Kosei Arima, who's a child prodigy known as the human metronome, for playing the piano with precision and perfection. Guided by a strict mother and rigorous training, Kosei dominates every competition he enters, earning the admiration of his musical peers and praise from audience. When his mother suddenly passed away, subsequent trauma makes him unable to hear the sound of piano, and he never takes the stage thereafter. His monochrome life turns upside down the day he encounters the eccentric violinist Kaori Miyazuno, who thrusts him back into the spotlight as her accompanist. Through a little lie, these two young musicians grow closer together as Kaori tries to fill Kosei's world with color. So this is the summary from Mal. Now I'll move on to telling you why you should watch this show, according to me, to some commentaries I have read. Arima is incredibly human for his depiction of circular patterns of thinking. He has a tendency of falling back into his own poor mental health because of his own trauma. The animation really stands out as performance, fingers, movements, and body language are meticulously drawn. This is another good point. And another thing also I agree with one of the commentaries blogs is that I found myself also playing a game of figuring out the piece and the composer each time they put it on anime. It's rewarding and shows how much the creator cared about the scores, and even those who don't have an ear for classical music will take great pleasure in listening to the selected pieces. Some of the classical works that were brought in the show are from Camille Saint-Saëns, Mozart, Beethoven, and Chopin. It might have this pastel color, really joyful music in the beginning, and I think it's gonna look like a regular high school music type of anime, but no, it's actually it can switch the mood very fast even without you realizing it, and I think I really like that about this particular show. Moving on to my first recommendation, I would say Charlotte. And the reason why I attached that photo on the top is because that was the meme that started circulating while Charlotte was airing, and a lot of people started using it as a meme template later on, for when somebody is offering you something but the reality is that we're looking for something else, or you had something else in mind. Charlotte was released in the same year. It was 2015. It has 13 episodes. If not for his ability to take over people's mind and body, Yu Otosaka would be an ordinary high school student. Though it only lasts for 5 seconds at a time, Yu's mysterious power allowed him to cheat his way to the top of his class and entered prestigious high school, where he continues his dishonest acts, eventually stopped by Nao Tomori, the headstrong student council president from Hoshinomi Academy, who sees through his deceit. Through coercion, Nao convinces you to transfer to Hoshinomi and join the student council, Hoshinomi Academy, which is secretly an institution created to adolescents who possess supernatural abilities, with the student council serving as a means of locating those who abuse their power. However, as they further investigate the abilities, their findings entangles them in far more complicated matters than they would ever imagine. Moving on to reasons why you should be watching this show. First of all, it's because the humor was present and was nicely contrasted by the sad moments. Characters engaged with fantastic chemistry even while personal stakes are high, and there's also plenty of clever superpower usage, such as all powers come with clearly defined complications or limitations, so the characters need to find ways to work together and use their powers in various situations. To summarize, according to me and several other commentaries, Charlotte is a story about learning responsibility and using your personal gifts appropriately, but also taking responsibility for your own actions. Moving on to the famous Anohana, which I think many of you already know or have heard about one way or another. Anohana was released in 2011. It has 11 episodes and also a movie and also live action. So, for those who don't know about Anohana or it's their first time hearing about it, so the story is long ago, young Meiko Honma tragically died and her tight-knit group of friends, shaken by the event, drifted apart. Now 10 years later, Meiko has reappeared as a ghost that only Jinta, the former leader of the gang, and a Navid shut-in can see. All she desires is for Jinta to fill her final wish so that she can move on to the afterlife. But she has no memory what it was. It's up to the teenager to gather his former friends and discover what will allow this beloved friend to rest in peace. With so many feelings left unsaid, can this group work out their strife and help the ghost of the girl they once adored? I would like to tell you the reasons why you should definitely, no discussion, watch Anohana. So, there is a strong characterization and solid story pacing that allows for those big drama moments to hit really hard. The characters in this series are remarkably layered and complex. Anohana particularly doesn't shy away from exploring the emotions that arise from dealing with grief, sadness, anger, denial, and acceptance, different stages of grief. The story is consistently paced and doesn't veer far from the main theme, making all of the 11 short episodes meaningful. Animation and the sound are top-notch and while being simplistic at the same time. So it's not something too sophisticated, but it really fits with the mood and with the vibes of it. For slightly older fans, I think Clannad is a very familiar show, and it's one of those sub-stories that I remember whenever I hear the opening or the ending years ago, I would start crying. So it was released in 2008, it has 23 episodes, 2 seasons. You have Clannad and Clannad After Story, and the story starts with Tomoya Okazaki, who's a delinquent who finds life dull and believes that he will never amount to anything. His mother passed away from a car accident when he was younger, causing his father to resort to alcohol and cigarettes. One day, while walking to school, Tomoya passes a young girl, muttering quietly to herself without warning. She exclaims, "Anpan," which is a popular Japanese food, which catches Tomoya's attention. He soon discovers the girl's name is Nagisa Furukawa, and that she exclaims things that she likes in order to motivate herself. However, Tomoya finds he is noticing Nagisa more and more around school, and he learns that Nagisa has been held back a year due to severe illness, and that her dream is to revive the school's drama club. Claiming he has nothing better to do, he decides to help her achieve her goal along with the help of 4 other girls. As Tomoya spends more time with the girls, he learns more about them and their problems as he attempts to help each girl overcome her respective obstacles. He begins to realize that life isn't as dull as he once thought. It's the tragedy and sorrow of Clannad that makes it something special. Clannad is a story filled with harsh truths about life, forces the viewer to think about their personal lives. Family theme is strongly present in the show, and something as I realized that while doing research about it is that it's based off a visual novel game, and people who played the visual novel game, they kept saying that each single small decisions can lead you either to survive or to have a really bad ending. They said the visual novel was so freaking hard to play, and it's available on Steam in case you want to buy it, purchase it and download it. Have you ever thought what it would be like to be stuck in somewhere between the life and the afterlife? having no clue where to go because you are a soul that deemed itself to be unsatisfied with the way they died. Angel Beats was released 2010. It has 13 episodes. It's based off the theory that death is one of the many mysteries that has left humanity in the dark since the dawn of time. However, the burning question of what happens to the soul after one dies is soon answered by 17-year-old Yuzuru Otonashi. Waking up with no previous memories in a dimension between life and death, he discovers the unsettling truth of the afterlife. Taking the form of a high school, this bizarre dimension is designated to shelter those who died and wanted deaths. Feeling wronged by God during their earthly lives, the school's residents have decided to form the Afterlife Battlefront, a rebellious faction determined to oppose their godlike student council president, Clannad Tachibana, also nicknamed Angel. The group's leader, Yuri Nakamura, recruits Otonashi in their fight against Angel in order to take control of their own lives. However, questioning the morality behind their actions, Otonashi takes a step back behind the enemy lines to understand the opposing side of their common fate. Our style for Angel Beats is engaging, cute, and colorful. Angel Beats is a character-driven story in the truest sense. It is just about the emotional and psychological journeys of these characters. So, technically speaking, we cannot say there is an absolutely bad character or good character, but it's all about how these characters evolve along the way of all the revelation changes that happen to them. Audio composition, especially the songs, are truly amazing. And this is something I think many people who are either experts in music and the background songs, or people like me who are just hobbyists, would agree upon. I think that having Violet Evergarden in this setup is so fitting. Violet Evergarden is a show that was released in 2018. It has 13 episodes and a movie, Netflix movie. By the end of the Great War, can be referred as the Second World War, finally came to an end. The continent of Telesis slowly began to flourish once again. Caught up in the bloodshed was Violet Evergarden, a young girl raised for the sole purpose of decimating enemy lines. She was left with the only words from the person she held dearest, but with no understanding of their meaning. Recovering from her wounds, Violet starts a new life working as the CH Postal Service. There, she witnesses by pure chance the work of an auto-memory doll. She is a person usually that transcribes people's thoughts and feelings into words on paper. Moved by the notion, Violet begins work as an auto-memory doll, a trade that will take her on an adventure. Who hadn't watched it know why they should watch Violet Evergarden at any point in their lives. It's because of the beautiful animation, character depth, and emotional storyline. It's basically a story that needs to be seen. It was produced by Kyoto Animation after the Arizona attack in 2019, and I loved the diversity of lessons that were presented. And this is something that has been shared by another commentary that I want to relay to you all, which says every one of her clients offers something valuable to think upon, not just what it means to love someone, but also on what it means to be human, being considerate of others' lives, accepting that which cannot be changed, and striving to improve what can, and loyalty to others and one's convictions. So with each episode, with each case, or each people that she goes to, each mailing person who requests her service, then there is something new to learn, something new to experience, not just for them, but also for herself. Have you ever had the thoughts that you might receive something from your future self and then wonder whether you should take your proclaimed future self advice or just ignore it? But I think that's what exactly happened to Naho Takamiya in the story of Orange, which was released in 2016. It has 13 episodes and also it has a manga and a live action movie. For me, when I was first introduced to Orange through the manga, I was reading it when I suddenly heard the news of the animation coming out. Naho Takamiya, first day of her sophomore year of high school, is off to an uneasy start, and she receives a strange letter addressed to her. However, the letter is from herself 10 years in the future. And at first, Naho was skeptical at the note, yet after witnessing several events described to take place, she realizes the letter really is from her 26-year-old self. The note details that Naho's future life is filled with regrets, and she hopes that her younger self can correct the mistakes that were made in the past. The letter also warns her to keep a close eye on the new transfer student, Kakeru Naruse. Naho must be especially careful in making decisions involving him, as Kakeru is not around in the future. With the letter as her guide, Naho now has the power to protect Kakeru before she comes to regret it once more. And I think you have a lot of questions now that you hear this, probably. What's gonna happen? What kind of regret she's referring to? And who is this transfer student that she suddenly have a duty to protect? But I'm not gonna spoil you. I'm gonna leave it up to you to watch this really short anime. And if I may give you additional reasons to watch it beside all the curiosity that it provokes, it's that Orange weaves a complex tale of choices and consequences. It's a slice-of-life drama that uses time travel as a narrative trick rather than a sci-fi element. The purpose of using time travel is to explore patterns of cause and effect, which Orange relies on heavily to make the story more engaging. The openings and closing themes were written to express human experiences and emotions, so they were really, let's say, relevant to the plot and to the characters. Have you ever heard about To Your Eternity or Fumetsu no Anata? So this anime was released in 2021. It has 20 episodes and 2 seasons each, and it revolves around a lonely boy wandering the Arctic region of North America. He meets a wolf, and the two become fast friends, depending on each other to survive the harsh environment. But the boy has a history, and the wolf is more than meets the eye as well. It can do two things: change into the form of the things that stimulated it, and come back to life after death. The boy wants to explore new surroundings and decides to abandon his home with it to find the paradise using traces of his tribe left behind. It's a bit hard anime to get into, but once you give it a chance, you will really appreciate it. And it's more like a psychological type of anime. The main reasons why you should give To Your Eternity a chance, because this show is created as a journey. You get to meet some interesting characters, it has great visuals and soundtracks, and it sort of displays the pitifulness of living forever in a way that we as mortals we cannot relate to. While watching To Your Eternity, we are transported into several spellbinding, diverse socio-economic, socio-cultural experiences and provided fascinating worldviews and experiences across diverse backgrounds, age groups, ethnicities, status, and natural and physical abilities. The story becomes increasingly meaningful by the episode, and the portrayal of grief, loss, especially of multiple characters over the course of time, really takes you by surprise. Are you a big fan of Ghibli movies? In case you are a fan of big Ghibli movies, the animation movies, then you will definitely love Made in Abyss, because it has those vibes, this kind of calm serenity and attachment to the nature. These are things that you find nowadays very rarely in anime, but Made in Abyss is centered around that, like with the very detailed background drawings and very simplified character drawing. However, you shouldn't be really fooled by the beautiful nature and the soundtracks in the anime, because you are up for a really dark show. Made in Abyss was released in 2017. It has 13 episodes, 2 seasons. The abyss, a grappling chasm stretching down into the depths of the earth, filled with mysterious creatures and relics from a time long past. How did it come to be? What lies at the bottom? Countless brave individuals, known as divers, have sought to solve these mysteries of the abyss, fearlessly descending into the darkest realms. The best and the bravest of the divers, the White Whistles, are hailed as legends by those who remain on the surface. Riko, daughter of the missing White Whistle Lisa, the Annihilator, aspires to become like her mother, and explore the furthest reaches of the abyss. I'm gonna give you other reasons why you should definitely embark on this journey. First one is that the cute art style that makes dark scenes even more horrifying to watch. Background as are a whole different level. There is so much details. Soundtrack is memorable and enchanting. And also the characters, like character plot wise, every mistake they make has consequences, be it not observing their surroundings from poor visibility or taking a bold decision and not being able to follow all the way through. And my final recommendation for today is Dororo. I think some of you who are seinen fans who love this really bloody fights would know Dororo, but some of you might not because it's still like short seasonal anime, so you might not have come across it so far. But there are really some interesting facts about Dororo that I would like to share with you today, but I will start with the basics. So Dororo was released in 2019. It has 24 episodes. And it is speaking about the greedy samurai lord Daigo Kagemitsu. The land is dying, and he would do anything for power, even renounce Buddha and make a pact with demons. His prayers are answered by 12 demons who grant him the power he desires by aiding his prefecture's growth, but at a price. When Kagemitsu's first son is born, the boy has no lamps, no nose, no eyes, no ears, not even skin, yet he is still alive. The child is disposed of in a river and forgotten, but as luck would have it, he is saved by a medicine man who provides him with prosthetics and weapons, allowing for him to survive and fend for himself. With the death of each monster, he regains a part of himself that is rightfully his. For many years, he wanders alone, until one day an orphan child, Dororo, befriends him. The unlikely pair of castaways now fight for their survivals and humanity in an unforgiving, demon-infested world. So, now I'm gonna share with you the facts that I think are really important about Dororo. First of all, the manga of Dororo was drawn in 1967 by Osamu Tezuka, who is the same author as Astro Boy. You may have watched it long ago, Astro Boy, as a child on your local TV channels, dubbed into your local language. However, although it was produced much earlier than Astro Boy, almost before even One Piece or Naruto or whatever, the narrative is really masterful, and to balance out the dragging pace, the show packs a lot of punch with the visuals and the characters it presents. So at first I feel like it's a bit slow paced, however things will really catch up very quickly afterward. Personally speaking, I think that Dororo anime was very sad, and there were points where I was crying even when no one in the show was crying, because I really felt so much empathy for him. So thank you, bye bye.